Okay, time for another product review from GuitarTrainingTalk.com. Kind of got lazy through the holidays and haven't put up any videos for a little while, so it's time to get back in the groove. And today's product I'm going to review is called Fretboard Physics by Kurt Mitchell. It's a 6 DVD or VHS tape series. What I'm holding in front of you is just a tab cover for DVD number 4 called Rhythms and Compositions. Now, Kurt Mitchell is more famous for the In the Style of DVDs, which from an instructional point of view are probably worthless because he doesn't really do any instruction on those tapes. So I wouldn't recommend any of the In the Style of DVDs if you're expecting to get your money's worth, because you'll find out differently. But his Fretboard Physics 6 DVD or VHS set has some value to it. There's pros and cons. Now, don't want to drag out this review covering 6 of them in detail because there's not enough time, but I can tell you tapes 1, which is the beginning, tapes 2, which is intermediate, and tapes 3 with the music theory, pretty much wouldn't waste your time on, because 1, the diagrams are confusing in his series. So if you're a beginner, late beginner, and you're buying this to kind of unlock all the secrets of guitar playing, which is what happened to me when I first bought them a long time ago, you're going to find out differently, because even though he teaches fairly well in this series, the diagrams are so confusing that you're going to kind of get lost trying to follow along what he's trying to explain, and you're trying to look at the diagrams. So forget about tapes 1, 2, and 3. Now, beginning with tape 4, called Rhythms and Compositions, that's a different story. The tapes 4 and 5 or 6 are really good, and you're going to learn. You're going to get quite a bit of information out of these, and if you really study them in depth, you're going to learn quite a bit. Now, tape number 4 starts out with just giving you going over typical chord forms in hard rock style. He's got 2 or 3 sheets of these, a lot of different chord forms. He plays them for you so you can get an idea how they're supposed to sound. Then he goes into song structure, and that's the excellent part about this tape: song analysis, song structure, and song modulation. And he gives an example by using the song Hell's Bells by AC/DC. Kind of explains as he's playing it how they came across their parts and why they're put together like they are, and what makes that song so great, and how it kind of builds a suspense and keeps going and going and going like all AC/DC songs seem to do. But he really gives a really good explanation how that song was put together and how typical hard rock songs work well in that style of progressions, how the songwriting style evolves, and does a real good job. You're going to learn quite a bit about songwriting by him teaching that. And he also goes into his original songs. Now, his original songs are really good. I love Kurt Mitchell's playing. I like his tone. I like the way he solos. I like his rhythms. He's a 80s guy sound, and I really dig his style. I wish he would just make tapes of him playing and just covering his songs all the time, and I would buy them all because they're really good. But he doesn't quite have the knack of putting together a good product, good support material, and explaining it in a detailed instructional style so you can really understand what's going on. That's the bad part about his products and DVDs. But I do highly recommend getting DVD number 4, Rhythms and Compositions. You're going to learn quite a bit on how to make a good killer hard rock 80s style song or metal song. Now, tape number 5 is called Advanced Soloing Techniques. A really good tape by Kurt. Of course, he's standing all the time in front of these tapes and explaining, and he explains his picking style, his picking technique, what worked for him in developing his right hand technique and what didn't work. Also goes into some picking exercises. He does the Flight of the Bumblebee and teaches you and explains why it's a good learning tool in learning how to develop your picking technique. He's got his everything's tabbed out fairly well, but it's kind of hard to follow him along as he's teaching, because it's not very well organized as many products be. Now his diagrams are a little on the confusing side. Like I said, if you look at the top portion of that fretboard diagram, even those black and I think red dots, you really, unless you've been around for a while, you really don't understand what's going on by looking at that fretboard diagram. That's why his products, have a big downside. If his support material, his tab was just better organized and better laid out, it would be an excellent product. But unfortunately, that's not the case. But I do recommend the advanced soloing, because I got a lot of tips on how to develop my right-hand picking and what the problems. He goes over the problems he had in developing his style. He had to basically start all over again at one time and redevelop his picking hand. And he explains why and how he did it. So you're going to get a lot of useful information in tape number 5, Advanced Soloing 2 in Fretboard Physics. Tape number 6, Trading Solos. It's also a fairly good product. He covers 3 of his original songs, and you do get the chords for it too, how he put the chord progression together. And like I said, I like his original songs a lot. I mean, I really dig his original stuff. I think it's really good. It's just too bad that he can't go into more detail and explain more slowly and in depth as far as his teaching. Otherwise, this project would be really good. But he's got 3 original songs on here. Kind of goes over the solos. Like I said, everything is tabbed out. The only thing I don't like about his is you see there's he doesn't tell any documentation above the tab what chord it is. It could be a slash chord, you don't know what chord it is, or what, if he changes key, it doesn't say it. So it's not very well explained. I mean, you can tell by looking at it if you later immediately what it is, but it would help if you had like an A, a G over E, a slash chord, or what the name of the chord is, because he changes chords quite a bit. His playing style is a lot of 2-note chords, and he's kind of all over the place. And it would be easier to follow along if the tab had the names of the chords where he changes, but it doesn't. So you kind of have to figure out whether it's an E, A, or B, C sharp, and it really gets you really frustrated when you're trying to learn it when he didn't do that. That's the really bad thing about his products. But you will, if you love 80s hard rock, if you love 80s metal, you'll get a lot out of tapes 4, 5, and 6 from Fretboard Physics. Forget about tapes 1, 2, and 3. So that's my take on Kurt Mitchell's Fretboard Physics. Until next time, keep practicing. It takes a long time, longer than you think, but one day you'll just pick up the guitar and you'll be able to play something that last week you couldn't do. So just keep at it, and I'll try to keep these videos coming. Remember to visit my website, guitartrainingtalk.com. Have a lot more reviews. I do a lot of audio reviews, which are a lot easier to get up faster, and a lot of my guitar posts. So until next time, keep practicing.